Welcome back to another daily walk. And today we want to talk a little bit about living life in balance. And this is there's a neat story in Fox's Book of Martyrs about the monk named Telemachus. And there's some legend that has surrounded around Telemachus, and one of these such legends is that Telemachus, of course, let's do a little bit of backstory here. The monks, these people were concerned with the hustle and bustle of the Roman world. We're talking about 400 or so AD. I forget the exact date that he lived. It would have been about 100 years after Constantine, which would have been 300. So we're talking about 400 or so BC. And the Roman Empire was just hustling and bustling. You know, Rome itself is like New York City. And of course, the Roman nation was declared by Constantine as a Christian nation. And there's several people who couldn't see the hustle and the bustle. They couldn't see Christ and Christian living in the middle of that. And so they set out to produce these monastic communities. They'd go out in the middle of nowhere and live together in, prayer and studying the Bible and basically personal life. And so the legend around Telemachus, and I haven't verified if there's any truth to this at all. It's just a fascinating story surrounding him. But it does lead to a historical account of what happened to him in Fox's Book of Martyrs. So the legend goes that Telemachus leaves the busy culture to join the monastic community to learn what it means, basically to focus on the contemplative life. Of course, contemplative life means you're withdrawing, you're separate, you're away, you're praying, you're studying the scriptures, because indeed our faith is a personal faith. And that is an important thing to keep in mind. But there's a problem, and that's not all of our faith, because our faith is also one where we are called to action. We are specifically called to do the Great Commission. We are specifically called to help people. We are specifically called, for example, to be a good neighbor. So all of these are things that we need to keep in mind. And so the legend goes that there was some rustle and bustle, like some thieves or something tried to get into some travelers that were traveling through the monastic community area, and some of the monks defended the thieves, but Telemachus withdrew away. And then he goes and talks to his, the leader of his monastic community, and he talks about how he came to the monastery to focus on that and focus on God and all this. And then the guy says to him, well, can you really love Jesus while you stand by and let thieves kill him? And that is a fascinating viewpoint. And so it raises this discussion: how do we learn to live as a contemplative amongst the chaotic world? Now, of course, the ending story of Telemachus, the part we do know is historically accurate from Fox's Book of Martyrs, and I can't remember how much of his story they detailed, but he makes a pilgrimage to Rome to learn about the contemplative life in the city's chaos, and he sees the gladiatorial games. This is supposedly a Christian nation feasting off of all sorts of people killing one another in a quote-unquote Christian nation for sport. And that is a problematic thing. And so Telemachus jumps into the arena and pleads to stop. Of course, he is killed, but from that very day, no gladiatorial games were ever held in the Colosseums in Rome. So he was a martyr who stood up so that the gladiatorial games would end in the supposedly Christian nation. So that's kind of the stories of Telemachus, the legendary account and the truthful account part of it that we know at the end. So how do we in our modern society, though, learn to live as a contemplative amongst the world's chaos? That is the ultimate question, and that is the ultimate balance. And ultimately, it boils down to looking at the life of Christ. The life of Christ, he would go out and heal the crowds. He would be teaching. He would be raising the dead, all of these types of things he would be out there doing, not only teaching people to live and to walk in the ways of God, but also how to understand it. He would teach it. Now, of course, he taught a lot in parables, and parables were not not cute little stories to make God's point. How many times have you heard a children's curriculum tell you that? Jesus told parables to tell little stories to make it memorable. No, the Bible actually says Jesus spoke in parables to hide the truth from the people. All right, we have to understand that. But nevertheless, he did teach. He taught some things in parables, some things not. But he did teach a lot about godly living, and then he did a lot of godly actions, but then he also withdrew from the crowds. He withdrew from the crowds. He spent time just by himself, alone praying, and he spent time just with his core of disciples. And this is kind of the model for us. Learn how to have a balance in your life where you are out among the world's chaos. You are serving God among the world's chaos. You're out doing these types of things. You are engaging in works of service, in works of deed, and in the Great Commission, preaching the gospel and truly preaching the gospel, not dragging people to church, truly teaching people the gospel. All right, but then you also have to withdraw out. You have to take some time away, and you have to spend some time just focusing on God with prayer and with Bible study. I always say that prayer gets us into the heart of God and Bible study gets us into the mind of God. When our heart and our mind unite, that is the point where faith arises. So learn to have faith by living as a contemporary amongst the world's chaos. That's my ultimate message. Learn to live a contemplative life among the world's chaos. You got to get into the world at times, but you got to withdraw yourself at times. So that's what we wanted to say today. This is a short little daily walk, but thanks for coming along. You can help support the channel by having a look at the links in the description down below. You'll find links for the books and for the website and other resources over there as well. So thanks for coming along, and I hope that you enjoy your daily walk in our Lord.